Welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes. Good evening. I have my co-host, True007, and I am Bindi. True007, say hi.
Hi.
Today,
Hi.
you have more to say? He's
Hi.
too excited
This is our second show today.
Yeah, we are too excited about
Bindi.
today's topic. Today's topic, we are going to compare late Qing Dynasty to late Communist Party, Communist China. So let's have a look at what Mao Zedong has to say about what is going to happen next year. So we are going to show Mao Zedong's recent Geta, and True007 is going to read the Chinese version.
Mao Zedong's Geta. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty big. Now, let me see.尊敬的战友们好，共产党的经济金融、房地产科技大崩溃的时间应该是在明年上半年开始，明年年底，整个中共国就像大清朝一样，富豪子孙、官宦子弟争着把钱和家里面当家的子孙儿女移到他们最看不起的台湾、东南亚的国家，中南坑人将自己的一切都移到他们所要打倒的美帝国主义国家或老牌的欧洲帝国去。中国将再次回到石器时代，饥荒、动乱、疫苗灾难哀嚎一片，横尸遍野。但愿这一幕不要发生吧。咱们走着瞧。计划3000亿自主研发世界最大最好的客机 C919 趴窝，花上1万自主研发的3纳米芯片趴窝后，今天或许国人引以为傲的自主研发的世界最好的高铁也集体趴窝了，趴窝就是集体不灵了。Okay. 好 Bindi, please translate.
Okay. The translation on 13th of August, New York Times, Mao said that in his Geta post that he expects Communist China's economic and financial meltdown, real estate collapse, and technology apocalypse to start around first half of 2023. He also said that by the end of 2023, the whole of Communist China will be akin to the final days of Qing Dynasty, with the wealthy and government officers clamoring to siphon their money out of the country, liquidating whatever they can in the homes, and relocating their descendants to Taiwan, which they despise, or to Southeast Asian countries. Those in Zhongnanhai, that's the central headquarters of the Chinese Communist Party and government of PRC, will move everything they have to the United States, which they have been waiting to overthrow or wanting to overthrow, and to European countries. Mainland China will once again return to the Stone Age, rife with famine, civil unrest, and widespread devastation brought by the COVID jabs. And of course, Mao Zedong also described the picture of corpses strewn all over the field. So I didn't want to translate because it's pretty graphic, but that could be the case. So let's bring us back, Flower.
Yeah.
So we are going to discuss comparing Qing Dynasty to what we have. Let's have a look at one picture of Qing Dynasty. Flower, if we can have one picture. So you see there, over there, that's our Empress Dowager Cixi. I want to ask my co-host, True007, do you think Cixi and the poverty that was experienced during Qing Dynasty, do you think there is a parallel between then and now? 2007. True007. Yes. Let's have True007 back in the picture.
Yeah. 把我拉到画面里面来。So you can see, okay, absolutely. Well, we can see the photo while Cixi is dressed as an emperor. Of course, she was the last female emperor for China, Qing Dynasty China.
Female emperor. She was Empress Dowager. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the comparison contrast, the photo on the left side of the picture are people living in absolute poverty as well by that time. Okay, they probably only living in a grass shed house, probably, you know, with a kitchen and then a bedroom. That's it. In China now, we can see photos of people living in absolute poverty, and not only one, well, not only, I mean, this is 2/3 of people. 2/3 of people, according to CCP statistic, it will be about 8 to 9 billion people.
Yeah, 2/3 of the people. 2/3. Yeah,
2/3
66% of people. Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be how many people is that? I mean, you're talking about the 1.2 trillion, so 0.85 billion people.
Billion.
0.85 billion people living under absolute poverty by UN standard.
800 million. Yeah, 800 million.
800 million people living in China now. So don't believe what the Douyin and the TikTok, those guys shows you, you know, all high-rise buildings, so beautiful. People have a big dinner, but the 2/3 people, guys, living just exactly the same. You see, at least here, the people still wear some clothes, okay? The poverty, the
$1,000 a year.
Yeah. I think 2,000 yuan a year, something like that. It's only 300
$1,000. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,000. Yeah, that's absolute poverty. Under that, it is absolute poverty. So $1,000 for a year, that including shelter and food. Okay, not, I mean, you know, they got to. So I think in terms of absolute poverty that time in China, compared to nowadays, I'm sure there are more people. There are probably less people under poverty of 2/3 because we got the landlord. Okay, landlord society. I mean, at least half people own some land. Half people own some land. Okay, when you own land, you can have freedom to eat. You eat. Okay, at least you don't have to, you know, go to the rubbish dump to dig for food. This is what it is. So now we have this whole, you know, the world is so modern and open. And old times, Qing Dynasty may not want to open the door, but now Chinese, in terms of technology, everything, we have opened the door, but we only close the door again by what? By shut your eyes, okay, shut your nose. So something you can't smell, something you can't see, the truth, hear the truth. So your 5 senses are shut down, but you've been filtered, okay, information, but you'll be only given whatever you should know by the regime, by the CCP. So we become what? 99% people become enslaved, animal-like enslaved neighbors in communist China, where before was only only probably half people landlords still travel around China and still got information from the ports and so on. No one cares about that. Qing Dynasty doesn't even worry about that. Now the CCP, they sound down so much bad. That's why they don't want people to know the truth about them, what they've done to Chinese people and to the country, to the land. Bindi.
Yes. Just now, you made a comment about the number of people under the picture of Empress Dowager Cixi. I want to make a parallel between her and our present Chinese Communist Party Secretary General Xi Jinping. Mao Zedong always said that without Xi Jinping, we wouldn't have been able to take down the CCP. Without Empress Dowager, probably Qing Dynasty will still be going on, because remember, it was Empress Dowager Cixi who poisoned her son, right? That was her son, right? That she poisoned.
Correct.
Qianlong was her son, right?
光绪是吧？光绪、乾隆还有谁？
So anyway, so Empress Dowager has something in common with Xi Jinping. She closed the door of China to foreigners, right? She had a diplomatic failure. She decoupled from the rest of the world by looking inward. She decoupled in many ways. Trade, because she said, all these people, they are taking all our best and giving us opium. Close the trade corridor. Is that correct?
Well, that's what she said. Yeah, that's what she said. Some part may not be right.
Yeah. So right now we have Xi Jinping wanted to decouple from US dollars, right? And it is precisely because of Hong Kong dollar decoupling from USD that or unpacked from USD that sends what Mao Zedong described as the stone in the explosive ball that is going to set off the entire pool ball, snowball, explosive ball. Yes. So that is the thing that actually going to set off the entire Ponzi scheme, which is very similar to what Empress Dowager did during the late 1800s. So we also want to look at the next picture, which is showing, it was just a painting showing Taiping revolution. So I use that picture to show civil unrest. Yeah, civil unrest, or in this case, it's actually CCP, party mutiny. So over to you, 007. You want to say something about CCP infighting?
Well, 太平天国运动 is called the 太平, okay, peace from heaven, okay, peace from heaven movement. This is so-called in recent Chinese history in Qing Dynasty, and what happened is they were anti-government groups inside the Qing Dynasty. They started with some anti-government movement to test out how resilient the leadership, the emperor, is. So what happened is these guys are actually they in the old days in China, you don't have guns, you have knife and sword and horse. Okay, that's how you fight. So they are some very good iron-shod Qigong master. They, of course, they always are the leaders in the anti-government role. Indeed, it's very hard to actually cut them through and to punch them. They don't feel any pain. The special training, you can see people can have the skin back hooked and lift up. So you can train your body to a certain degree. And in the end, of course, the Zheng Guofan and these other leaders, the military heads, they actually acted on behalf of the Qing Dynasty and take over this whole movement and fled them. Zheng Guofan is also a great military strategist. he employs people from his hometown become generals. Those guys, this hometown have a lot of great masters, also have the iron share too. So therefore, they're fighting in the equal level. Okay, the best human potentially trained tough guys you can see with kung fu together. That make the Qing dynasty seems feel very strong that they have the anti-Taiping Tianguo movement, and they have the Taiping Tianguo's heads been arrested, and those guys been get together reformed as the Qing dynasty military fighters. So that makes Cixi think they're very strong and they're not going to be worried about these foreigners. That's number one. Okay, so you know why this is so naive. Mr. Gore said, Miles Gore told us in the jail where he went for 2 years, okay, in the Qingfeng Paishusuo cell. And the great guys, there are many different great guys, the top, but they're all political prisoners with Miles Gore together. They're including their Peking University professors, Tsinghua professors, and underground Christians, okay, and people who have a faith and religion, and people who have a foreign connection in the United States and Hong Kong as well, okay. So as long as you show a little bit the pro-Tiananmen movement, you can look up there, okay. Those guys told them, why you Chinese people inside are so naive, because you never went to overseas, never opened your eyes. I mean, exactly the same. When Xi Jinping go to overseas, you did not think he really went to overseas. No, he's not like us. We can walk on the street freely. We're talking to local people. We have dinner with the local restaurant without any protection or setup. So although you left China for overseas trip, but you are in the political trip, you're highly guarded. So you're not free. You will not be able to see the truth about it. This is exactly what Xi Jinping and Cixi are very much compatible, okay? And you may have some foreigners come talk to you, but they come for money, so they can tell you what you want to hear, those foreigners. That's what happened.
And then, of course, with Xi Jinping, he doesn't understand English, right?
No.
And because he doesn't understand English, everything got to be translated for him. So that gives the translator or his ears and eyes a lot of leverage over what to tell him. Don't you think?
Correct.
It's same it is with Empress Dowager, right?
Well,
so that's
exactly.
So she thought that all these kung fu practitioners, all the Boxer Rebellion practitioners, that they are that great that they could overcome, they could resist the military power of foreigners. Same it is with our Xi Jinping, who thought that the PLA vessels and whatever planes that they have and all the Navy power, they are so strong that they could resist Americans, right? How many aircraft carrier does China have? 3, right? And 1.5 can't be used, correct? Whereas America has how many aircraft carrier? 20, right? Or more. So and America has a lot more military capability that I won't bother to list out. But hey, they have the virus, right? They have the virus, so the virus could conquer the entire world, and plus they have the plan, a BGY plan. They can buy the whole of America, right? As including the judges and everything else. So without Empress Dowager, Qing dynasty probably will not have fallen. Without Xi Jinping, probably Communist China wouldn't have fallen. That's what Mao Zedong said. That Xi Jinping is surely our fellow fighter in that sense. So we want to talk about one big thing that people have always pointed out, and Communist China always want to highlight this as to put the blame on mainland China to rile up ethnic sentiment. That is talking about the Opium War, how Chinese people were given opium so that they would self-indulge. So compare that think about it, compare that to all this, I call them ultra fundamentalists, ultra nationalists, Self and Hong, Lao and Hong, those people who are always on the internet using F word against foreigners. Unfortunately, my cousin brother, who was born and bred a Singaporean living in China, is one of them as well. And this, don't you think this behavior of just being a keyboard warrior is also kind of like those people lying down on their beds, smoking opium all the time and getting high? And the Chinese way of saying 自嗨, getting high themselves. I want to ask 007 to comment on that.
Okay. This is an example of how successfully the CCP has brainwashed over the last 73 years. Okay, you remember the party have one of the most important department in the nation called propaganda department. Propaganda department, they use even the words propaganda. Okay, 宣传部, propaganda department. What the function of the propaganda department is to massively through main media, which China only have a main media. Okay, all the rest of the media have to obey the main media, otherwise your license will be gone and people will be locked up. So you can't say anything else about what the propaganda is. You know, when you see your WeChat, your local newspaper, okay, the People's Daily and the Communist Party's newspaper, the military newspaper, all talk about the same thing. You got no choice but believe this must be true. Okay, that's the disaster to your mind. Once you've been brainwashed, I was talking to Flower today. You know, if you and I, if we never came to Australia, okay, come to overseas, would you never believed what you've been brainwashed was fake, was fabricated? And she said no. And I tell myself no. Okay, I always believe the party what they said because I don't have the figure, I don't have the the cases to argue against because I don't have the information. But since you come to overseas, look at other medias. Wow, this whole thing, including Communist Party, the anti-Japanese war, and all that, they're just fake. They didn't kill any much Japanese, maybe somewhat 800 Japanese soldiers. That's all they killed. Okay, to protect themselves. Okay, in a small scale war, but they always run away to let the Japanese fight with Chiang Kai-shek National Party and kill them more. Okay, and another example is if we never know, in 1950, the anti-American war in Korea, North Korea, South Korean war. If we didn't know the figure, we never know. Chairman Mao sent the leftover 1 million military because they could not flew to Taiwan, not have the vessel, okay, not have the aircraft, not enough. So the leftover in mainland China, they become a POA's system. So what Chairman Mao want to do is they don't trust them in case any undercover, whatever. They send them all to North Korea war, and with only some with only 1 bullet, some without clothing much, okay, and there's no supply at all. So let them die or alive. What happened? They died. They all died, and most of them are dead of hunger and frozen. Okay. So if we didn't know this, once we know this, what happened? You still trust in CCP, okay? You know the bullets. Every landlord, including my grandfather, was also bulleted. Okay, my grandfather is a small landlord. I think he only have 17 acres of land, and most of the present farmers work for him, loved him because without them to get employed, these guys really got no land. They're homeless, so they didn't look after them. When the CCP come to kill him, all the farmers are kneeling down, beg the CCP's army, please, he's a good guy, please don't kill him. We love him. Otherwise, we wouldn't have family and have kids. This is the reality. Okay, so I didn't know it's so bad. My uncles and my father told me more when I was young. It's only one case we know it's my family, but I think then a lot of brainwashing about the CCP's landlord, maybe that take over from my thoughts. Maybe it's just one coincidence, but I know that's all the case. 500 million landlord was bulleted in China. Okay, 550. Yeah, 5 million or 550 million. 5 million landlord. I think big or small. Maybe some big ones are CCP's members. Well, they some become CCP's senior card. They exempted. So 你有关系，你有 relationship in CCP, you don't have to be executed, right? Yeah. Okay.
So
that's what I wanted.
Yeah, another thing I want to
going.
point out, okay, in that picture that you see there, showing that is just a picture showing the trade between West and East. Of course, the British, in this particular one, they talk about British merchants. They would take the tea and nice fabric and everything else to the West and supplying in exchange and supplying China with opium. So that's trade. But in today's world, under Xi Jinping, we are talking about one belt, one road, right? So what China exports is debt, right? They will weigh down countries that lend money that other countries can never repay. Weigh them down with debt in exchange for what? Their national assets, such as ports, their infrastructure, and through this way, conquer the world. This is what Xi Jinping has done. So what they are doing exactly what they hated the British merchants for doing is what they are actually doing. So are they hypocrites or what? 007.
Add one more point. They've been export fentanyl to United States and kill 50,000 US young kids a year.
Fentanyl.
Okay?
Fentanyl was mentioned a lot under President Trump because it actually was intentionally. Can you say that it's intentional because people actually know who are manufacturing fentanyl and sell in China and exporting it to America. So they are doing exactly what they blame other people for doing. And then, of course, last point in the remaining time, I wanted to point out, CCP has always used the alliance of 8 countries attacking Qing Dynasty as being their grudges against the West. And this is also the thing that really riled up the ethnic sentiment of overseas Chinese, including my own sister, and not the one that you normally see on the screen, another one. Okay, so they always say, oh, okay, the Westerners are so bad. They all gang up together to attack China. So what do you have to say about the parallel of Van and what we are facing now? It seems that the entire world all have their eyes on the CCP because the investigation of the virus, everything seems to point, the smoking gun seems to be Wuhan, seems to be mainland China. So 007, quick summary.
Well, by comparison of the late Qing Dynasty versus the late communist CCP's China, we can see that the pattern of terminating the era of dynasty is all there to the end. Okay, in the Qing Dynasty, we see not only what we see, we talk about, we also see in the end all the big regional emperors, regional kings, all what cash out the real money. They means the gold and silver bullions, and then shift to overseas. That's what they've done. Okay, and including including 那个 Fu Yi, okay, Fu Yi, the last emperor, he actually sold the entire collection, okay, in the Qing Dynasty the Emperor House for $1 million to JP Morgan's families. And JP Morgan told that to Miles Gore. JP Morgan therefore say, okay, well, I can buy you that, but most of them will be stored in the museum for public. I'm not going to have this. This is too valuable almost. Can you see that? So this is the same to China now. All the committee members of the senior class send the kids, the wife, the children, and including Wang Qishan to United States, and they bought a whole street and made a tunnel underneath the house. Every treasure is stored there. Exactly the same.
Same behavior. Okay, our time is up. I hope you have enjoyed our time with us together, where we make a comparison, drawing some parallel between the late Qing dynasty and the late communist China. We know Miles Gore said, but when the financial apocalypse descent upon China, upon the communist China, bad things are really going to happen within the country. The CCP is going to be days are counted. But beware that anything that happens in China will overspill. We are going to have a tsunami as well. So just be prepared and be follow our movement, and you will get the latest update from Miles Gore as to what he thinks is going to happen next. And the game is just to be ahead. Once you're ahead, you buy time in preparing, and when you buy time in preparing, you are the winner. Thank you very much, True007. Thank you very much, Flower. We hope we'll see you again, same time, same channel next week. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you, Bindi. Thank you, everyone.
Mama, are you okay over there? Your son is crying and missing you. He sees you in his dreams. You send take down the CCP, 'cause it's God's will. It's God's will. So I'm with you, and I'll see you when we end the CCP. Yeah.